So you've been seeing that person for months now. Your feelings are starting to get involved. You really like them. You're spending a lot of your time and energy into this person. You are hearing from them all the time. Things are getting a bit more serious in your mind. And you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, it's been 3 months, it's been 4 months, it's been 7 months down the line, and we still are not yet officially in a relationship. When is it a good time to have that conversation? Why have we not had that conversation? Why am I 7 months into this without a title on the relationship? Let's talk about it. Today we were talking about what are we? What are we? What are we doing here? Why am I investing my energy and time into something that may or may not be going anywhere? Welcome back to another episode of Way Too Wifey. I'm your host, respectfully Gabby, and in this podcast we talk all things dating, relationships in this modern day. And if you are new here, hi, I'm Gabby. I'm an online dating coach where I help you transform your confidence to live your best lives inside and outside of relationships. You guys, it all starts from within. The better you feel about yourself, the better relationships you're going to attract in your life. I have been there, trust me. I know what it's like to feel absolutely beat up through relationship, not maybe physically, but like literally mentally, whatever, through relationships, and it sucks. Really what it comes down to is how you're feeling about yourself inside. So if you feel like you can benefit from an 8-week transformation program where we really take a deep dive look into your past, into your traumas, see what's going on, what's going wrong in your love life, hit the sand link in my bio or in the episode description. Also, I have other options. If you're not willing to commit to an 8-week transformation program, I have one-time offers. I also have write-in option if you're like, Gabby, I'm not trying to talk to you. Get that. But I have a ton of people that write in, so that's a great option and it's most affordable. So anyway, with that being said, let's hop into the episode. You guys, I just chugged like 2 matchas. I think I have a problem. I really genuinely have a matcha problem, and it's getting worse. I don't know how to stop it. I had a coffee addiction maybe like years ago. I haven't drank coffee in almost 2 years now. I literally have not had a sip of coffee in 2 years. I feel like now if I had it, I would be so sick after drinking it. I stopped drinking coffee because I was literally throwing up after every time I was drinking it. I'm like, I can't deal with this, and my body is rejecting coffee. So now I'm piped up on matcha. Also just tried, and this is not an ad at all, but I also just tried Emma Chamberlain's new matcha. I don't know if it's new, but just tried it, and it's fucking fantastic. She puts lavender in it. Been literally chugging. I just finished this drink in like 2 sips. So off topic, but I'm also like feeling very energetic right now. Let's get into it, you guys. I've been getting so many of these write-ins, so many of these just people coming to me about situationships, which is really what I like to specialize in, because I feel like so many people now in dating are in situationships, are finding themselves like, okay, like let's play it cool, let's go day to day, go with the flow, see where the relationship goes, but then you're not really getting what you want out of it. So I want to talk about, if you're not getting very clear, obviously I've been saying this from the very, very start, get clear about what you want and then accept nothing less. If you want a relationship and you are talking to someone that does not want a relationship, then you're wasting your time. You're not going to convince someone of your greatness if they've already decided for themselves that they don't want a relationship. Anyway, I've said this time and time again, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but what do you do when you're months down and you haven't had that conversation, or you have had that conversation and they're just kind of like, I don't know. Like, what do you do in that case? So I feel like a lot of people fall into this where it's months down the line. And let's start off with, when should you even have that conversation? And when is it okay to start having that conversation? Personally, you do whatever you think is comfortable for you. But here's the thing, your time and energy is being invested into someone. So if you want to get the most out of your time and get very clear about what you want and what you're looking for, and get clear with the other person, like, this is what I want, and if you can't give me this, totally understandable, no pressure at all, and it doesn't have to even be right now, but I am looking for something more serious, then first of all, you obviously have to have that conversation with yourself. That's for starters. Like, you want to have that conversation in the beginning, but if you don't have that conversation early on, you're not getting clear about what you want early on, you'd rather just go with the flow, or you're already in too deep and you're like, wait a minute, I never got clear in the very beginning. What do I do now? How do I pivot into a relationship? How do you turn that situationship into a relationship? I'm here. I got you guys. Okay, we're going to talk about it. It's okay. It's okay that you didn't have that conversation, but gotta get real with yourself at some point. What are you looking for? And is this person going to give you what you want? You're months deep into this, and you have just spent so much of your time, so much of your energy, and blocking off. Usually, I think a lot of people, most people nowadays, would block off all of their other options because they're so emotionally invested in this one person that isn't really giving them all of the things that they need and want, i.e. your relationship or whatever. I think what happens, especially with women, is that you end up really liking a one guy and then everything else doesn't really matter. And you end up really liking this guy and it doesn't matter what he's looking for because you feel comfortable and you really like them and you have this crazy strong connection. So in your mind, you're like, well, if I give him more of my time, if I give him more of my energy, if I give him more of my efforts, then eventually he'll come around and see that I am a prize and worth investing in. And maybe he doesn't want a relationship right now, but I think the more that we pour into this, the closer that we get, maybe he'll come around and change his mind. You're wasting your time. Let me be so clear about something. You're wasting your time. If he's already decided that he doesn't want a relationship and you kind of know this deep down, you're like, I'm scared to even ask the question because I know what his answer is going to be. If you're scared to have the conversation with him about like, hey, what are we? If you're terrified to have that conversation, usually it's because you're scared that he's going to say, no, I don't want the same things. And then now you look crazy because you're like, actually, yeah, no, me neither. But like, this is going good. This is fine. I can deal with this. When you're lying to yourself because you know you want a relationship. And if it's not with him, then you're like, okay, well then I'm cool with just doing this like in between where we're both investing our feelings, time, and energy into something that isn't going to last long term. So be real with yourself. Is this person going to give you what you need and want? And if they're not, are you going to be willing to walk away from that? I've said this time and time again, but the strongest people out there are willing to walk away from anything that isn't serving them, that isn't beneficial for them, because they know themselves what they want. They're not going to entertain anything that isn't for them. It's totally up to you. If you want to stay in a casual thing, then cool, then be okay with it just being a casual thing. And know that the more you invest your feelings into this, the more hurt you're probably going to end up being. And if you're okay with that and you feel like you're getting something out of this, then by all means, keep it casual, fuck a title, do you, okay? But if you're months down the line and you've had this conversation with someone and you're like, you know what, like it's been 4 months, I think it's time to have a conversation. I think honestly, like a good time to like re-bring it up, or like, you know, because honestly, especially as women, I don't think guys, if they may or may not want a relationship. Some guys are more eager to get into relationships than others. But if your guy is like the kind of person that's like a little bit more slower, like taking it slow, whatever, like I would say 3 months is like a good time period to have a conversation of like, what are we doing? What is this turning into? If it's not, because you're not fully all the way there, but I feel like 90 days is a good enough time to know if you want to be with someone or not. And if you don't know in that span of time, it's probably a good indication that you don't want to be in a relationship with that person necessarily. You could want a relationship, but maybe not with that person, and you're cool with doing what you're wanting to do. And maybe that conversation doesn't even need to be had until the other person's like, wait a minute, my feelings are now into this. Let's talk about this. Say 3 months rolls by and you're like, okay, I'm a little confused what we're doing here. No one's had the conversation. Let's bring it up. And you bring it up and that person is a little bit defensive and they're like, wait, like taken aback that you even brought this up, or like giving you the runaround, like, I don't know, like I think I need a little bit more time, whatever. I just feel like that's such a bullshit thing. Honestly, if someone needs more, if you've been consistently dating someone after 3 months, and like, I mean, consistently, like seeing this person, hanging out, getting to know each other, you should know after 90 days if you want to be with someone. And if you have, like, if there's been space, there's been distance in between that time, then I can understand. If you're like seeing each other on a weekly, bi-weekly, whatever, and are things progressing? Are they going anywhere? Let's have a conversation about it. It shouldn't be a scary thing to have a conversation. And if you're scared, you're just scared that you're going to lose that person. But really, what are you really losing here? Because they're not willing to give you what you want, but they're giving you a comfort and some kind of security in some way. But at the end of this, you're going to be hurt either way. So you can either end it now and find something that's actually going to work for you, and it's going to fucking be painful and suck. Or you can stay in this and get really attached to this person and make it so much harder for you to move on to something that's right for you, because you're allowing this person to really take over your life. But it's completely up to you. Obviously, at the end of the day, you're going to make the right choice for you. If you are 3 months deep, you have the conversation, they get defensive about it. I think a lot of times women are like, okay, well, let me like retract. Let me not bring this up. And if I pour a little bit more of myself into this, if I give him a little bit more of my energy, he'll come around. I can guarantee it. I'll just show him how good it can get, and I'm going to give him more of myself. And then when you do pour more of yourself and he's taken aback already that you even brought the question up, and then weeks go by and you haven't had any talks of what are we, but he's already kind of told you in a weird way, like, this is not what I want. Then weeks later, everything dies down and you've already poured so much more of yourself into this. He's thinking, okay, well, why would I give this person a relationship when she just poured more effort into this? So I'm getting more. I'm getting rewarded for not giving her a relationship. For weeks, everything is going fine. And then you also are like, okay, well, if I don't say anything, if I basically shut my mouth and don't speak up for what I want, then everything will go back to normal and things are good again. So I'm now feeling like I'm getting rewarded as well by not bringing it up. And then months and months later down the line, you don't even want to bring that question up again. I just remember, God, I always think back. I feel like I not conned, my past 2 relationships. I really like talked them into being with me. And I never, ever, ever now in this point of my life want to like convince someone that they should be with me. But I feel like I sold myself over pretty well. But at the end of the day, like obviously neither of them worked out. So who's really losing here? But also I just don't feel like you should have to convince anyone to want to be with you. They should just want to be with you. But the first relationship that I had, it was like maybe 4 or 5 months in that we actually started being official. After like 2 months, after 3 months, we would have this conversation basically every month. I'm like, what are we doing here? And then I would stay with him for another month because I'm like, well, you know, like let me just give him a little bit more time. Really, he just wanted to fuck around. Like he wanted to do his own little thing with any other little girl around town. I just remember, gosh, it like grosses me out now, but like we were young. We were super young. It is what it is. I think I was like 20. I was probably 20 at this point. 20 years old. I'm like trying to convince this man to be in a relationship. I'm like, what else do you need to like see? What do you like? I don't understand. Do you want to be in a relationship or do you not want to? And then I remember I was kind of like at the breaking point. I was like, okay, we're doing this or we're not doing this. I need to like figure this out because otherwise I'm probably going to leave. And it was the weekend of festival. I think it was like EDC Orlando or something like that. I know he just wanted to go and like do his own little thing around there, but like I knew that in my gut. And he's like, well, like maybe like I had a plan to like ask you out like on a special day or like whatever, but really he just wanted to go to EDC single. And I was like, wow, like partially thinking like he's bullshitting me, but then also a side of me, I'm like, well, like what if he's being serious? Like what if he really did have plans to ask me out and I'm ruining it and like whatever. And I'm fucking young and naive and I didn't know anything at this time. Waited, and then he did his little thing at EDC, and a week later asked me to be his girlfriend, but it wasn't anything special, so I knew he was lying. But don't be dumb, you guys. Like, if this person really is serious about you, you're not gonna have to try to convince them to be with you. I think that's really the biggest thing, because I did that even in my last relationship. I'm like working on it, but I'm usually the type of person that likes to like, okay, what's next? The next best thing. Let's go. Let's keep it going. Like, what are we doing here? Let's get to the end goal. And it doesn't work that way in relationships. So that's why for the longest time I have struggled, because I am like 0 to 100 really quick. In my last relationship, I think we were maybe talking for like 2 weeks, and then we got into a relationship. I basically convinced him, like, we're gonna end up dating anyway, so like, are we gonna do it now or are we gonna do it later? Like, let me know. And he's like, okay. Like, yeah, no, totally, that you're right. Like, and I'm like, okay. And we just fell into it. To be honest, I really, even like, I think both of us knew it wasn't right. Like, something was off, and I waited 2 years to really fully figure that out. I learned so much in that 2 years that wouldn't take it back, because I genuinely like feel like a better person from it, and more wise, and just so many lessons to be learned there. But you should not have to convince anyone of your worth, of your time, of you. If the right person's gonna want to be with you, and they're gonna make that known, like, you don't have to question it, you don't have to convince them. Promise you of that. I think the more that you think about it like this, honestly, if you're in a situationship, you probably have a scarcity mindset. Like, you're never going to find anything better. Like, this person has to be it. Like, this is the only person that's going to be able to make you happy at the end of the day. What is truly irreplaceable in this situation? It's not that person, because you can easily replace a person. Maybe not easily, but you can replace a person with something that's going to be a better fit for you. There are so many people out there, and you cannot tell me otherwise. And I get that maybe the dating pool is not the greatest at this time, but there are other people out there that you're going to have a connection with, that are going to make you happy, that want to be with you. This person who doesn't want the same things as you is replaceable. I need you to understand that. The one thing that isn't replaceable in this equation is your time. Your time and effort that you spent on this person. You can't get back time. So the more time you spend on the wrong things, you're preventing all of the right things and the right people from stepping into your life to actually benefit you. Think about that. It comes down to your scarcity mindset is blocking you from attracting what's actually meant for you, because you think that this person is your end all be all. I have heard time and time again people say like, oh, well, I know he's the one. I don't know yet if he's going to meet all of my needs. It's like, why don't you establish your needs before even meeting anyone? Establish what you need out of a relationship, and then anyone that falls short of that isn't your person, because your person is going to have what you need. You don't have such a strong connection with someone and then decide that that is your person when they can't even give you your bare minimum, let alone give you the things that you need out of a relationship. Until you get your needs met, that person can't be the right one for you. So why are you so afraid to lose what is not meant for you? Ask yourself that question today. Or why are you so afraid to have that conversation with him? Ask yourself that question today, because at the end of the day, if this person can't give you what you need and you stick around and you're like, well, maybe one day I'll wait it out and then maybe they'll come around. Don't sell yourself short. You can have everything that you want. You just have to believe that it's out there and like really truly know that you deserve that. And the more that you settle for these little situationships that go nowhere, and again, if you're cool with just keeping things casual, then cool, let it be casual and let it be that. But be real with yourself that it's not going anywhere. But the more that you are investing in things that are not meant for you, the more time and energy you're putting out that you're never going to be able to get back. So keep that in mind. Only thing that's irreplaceable is your time. Okay, so fuck that person. Your time is way more valuable than that person that doesn't want to give you everything, even though they feel good and the chemistry's there. If you need more help on this, if you want to talk it over, again, hit the link in my bio or in the episode description. But that is it for this week's episode, and I will see you all next Tuesday.